Hi, my name is Constance Jones, and I started a petition to start a public school for children with autism in Philadelphia. And the link is down there, change.org/Philly Public Schools for Autism. This video is here talking about the protest that we are putting on. We, as in the group that I'm a part of, a group of talented people, parents, advocates, just anyone that has found our group useful. We are putting on a protest April the 22nd, and I want to read here with you just stuff that I can't really put on social media because it's difficult to share the document. So I'm going to read this document just from what we've sent politicians in Philadelphia. We've sent this to different council members, different district representatives. So a lot of them know that this protest is going on April the 22nd from 12 to 2 o'clock at the school district of Philadelphia. So if you're seeing this and you feel like you want to go, please, see if you can go. I would suggest possibly catching a Lyft if you don't live that far, so you don't have to worry about parking. But it is on a Saturday, so I think if you can find parking around possibly the neighborhoods, then you should be fine. So I'm just going to read here what we sent to different politicians, and so people know what exactly we are looking for and what we are fighting for. So with this protest, we are fighting for autism support. Not exactly fighting for the public school for children with autism, but that is something that we do feel like should be, possible, and it would help a lot of parents. It would help a lot of schools be able to send their children to a public setting instead of having to send their kids out of the district, having to send their kids to different neighborhoods, different states, sometimes New Jersey, having to sue the school district to get them into a private school. It's just a lot of different things that parents have to do with children with autism and special needs, and we feel like that needs to change. So, on behalf of the Philadelphia Autism Educational and Program Advocacy Group, we welcome you to lend your voice to join our protest at the School District of Philadelphia on Saturday, April the 22nd at 12 p.m. Please pass this information along to anyone who would like to support this cause and or join us at the protest. We need autistic voices, educators, parents, and fellow autism advocates to support our cause to raise awareness and fight for systemic change to the current public educational system supporting our autistic children, teens, and young adults. Our mission increases special needs support, resources, and resource equity within the school district of Philadelphia. Section 504 regulations require that a school district to provide a free, appropriate public education, FAPE, to each qualified student with a disability who is in the school district's jurisdiction, regardless of the nature of the severity of the disability. The school district of Philadelphia has failed to implement FAPE. Our schools are not provided an equitable distribution of resources or even fully providing special needs support throughout the district, which is leaving parents and children to have to travel outside of their neighborhood for appropriate education. Our demands are as follows, but not limited to. I'm just going to read them off and I'm going to read each of them one by one. Excuse me. Service providers, resources, thorough autistic training, accountability. So, one, service providers in all schools from K to 12, such as speech therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, mental health therapists, all types, special education aides, special education assistants, school psychologists, school counselors, and nutritionists. We want fully staffed special education teams at each school. There is also a lack of access to any type of transition to adulthood, life skill programs inside these public schools for those autistic adolescents who do not meet the criteria for a fully private setting. Resources needed for both funds to provide in schools resources, staff, and tools, as well as demand for the equal distribution of those resources to all schools. The need for appropriate resources is often resulting in undue burden on the parents because the children are not in the appropriate placements or in the appropriate school settings, and or lacking the appropriate special education team and staff to implement their IEP and 504 plans properly or even to the legal letter. Parents, school staff, mental health agencies, and advocates are forced into years of advocating for the autistic child's needs to be met, which leads to further distress on the child, the school, staff systems, and the family. Three, thorough autistic training among all teachers and all staff who are working with autistic students. We want the entire staff to be trained and not just special education staff. There should be a minimum hour set requirement for autistic specific education for all staff that will work with autistic students, as well as general training for the staff that may come in contact with these students. Accountability from the school district when district employees and staff mistreat autistic children. Accusations should be taken seriously and require thorough investigation. Children with autism are at increased risk for childhood abuse compared to their neurotypical counterparts. Yet many parents in our group have horror stories of reporting abuse and having the abuse swept under the rug unless lawyers get involved. Investigations for reported abuse should be mandatory. If an investigation finds a caretaker or a teacher responsible, there should be accountability. We will have a lineup of speakers and are open to those who wish to speak. Please email paepa.phila, phila, @gmail.com. All right, so that's the first couple pages. So I'm going to keep reading on. Fact from the school district site. In January of 2017, the Office of Diverse Learners received a $1.5 million grant to support the use of interventions based on applied behavior analysis, ABA, in kindergarten through second grade autism support classrooms. ABA is the use of evidence-based technique to create meaningful behavior change. Interventions based on ABA are the most effective interventions according to research data for students with autism. ABA can be used to teach students new skills and also to reduce problem behaviors. It is the most commonly used type of therapy for children with autism across the country in educational settings. Please note our group is well aware that the discussion around ABA is very controversial in the autistic and neurodiverse community due to its history, but in terms of lack of appropriate resources, it is being used as a valid talking point for the purpose of it being one more type of traditional used resource type not being made accessible in an equitable manner to the children of Philadelphia at their public schools, despite it being provided readily and more often at other suburban schools and in other local charter schools as a valid support and necessary resource for the autistic children. Those who have done without this particular resource for their children view ABA as a resource being given easily in the more privileged areas of the country due to how hard it has been for those in the local community to receive it. We are also well aware that there are other effective models to be used with children with autism that also need more widespread awareness and funding so that parents are also receiving a choice in the matter as well as at the school level. The money being used within the district is not being properly dispersed amongst the different neighborhoods within the district, and this lack of resource equity has left a strain on everyone, including the school district principals and their staff who need the support and or have to wait for a child to be accepted into private schools for autism after years of advocacy due to the least restrictive mandate as well as related systemic issues acting as barriers to give those children the correct school resources, appropriate settings, and placement sooner. Acting as barriers to give those children the correct school resources, appropriate setting, and placement sooner. There is a serious lack of resources in the regular public school classrooms and schools in the city. The school district of Philadelphia is on a daily basis failing to uphold IEP and 504 plans for the children in their schools. The school district is under constant threat of litigation and, of course, often sued, as it is ill-equipped and ill-funded to implement the actual necessary interventions and supports for our children. In the state of New Jersey, for a co-teaching model to be used in each classroom as well as fully staffed special education teams in each school, it is common. The New Jersey public schools have taken special needs education seriously and have used their real estate tax base to support each school with sufficient resources and staffing in the majority of their public schools. The New Jersey public schools have systems set up that allows for the least restrictive environment. Co-teaching model supports more autistic children to remain in regular classroom settings and FAPE to be followed more effectively than what it finds in the school district of Philadelphia schools. Sadly, the case is much different in the average public school within the school district of Philadelphia. Our teachers are lucky to have an intern for support some school years or even an academic aid for a child with higher needs present, often due to strong parental advocacy. Our schools are forced to split staff between schools in stark contrast to other school districts where they have their special education team fully full-time staffed inside their school building, no sharing between schools. Our regular public schools are forced to share, split for the special education teams, which include school psychologists, special education case managers, literacy specialists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, behavioral and mental health therapists, social workers, and therapeutic staff, if they even have those assigned to their school at all, or even have the staffing split properly in the regions. Our schools lack sufficient academic aides and special education assistants to support our special education directors at the school level. Our special education staff at the schools are taking on higher caseloads and scheduling themselves into blocks of time where an academic aide would be the better fit to make sure the children are receiving some support. Our school staff are being stretched thin trying to accommodate all the needs of the children. Our kids deserve better. And when we do better by them, we will do better by all the adults who are trying to support them, teachers, special education staff, etc. We are tired and exhausted of having to fight daily to get the most basic resources for our children. We need others to join us to raise our voices to get these issues highlighted en masse for the school district to make necessary changes. So here we also have transition to adulthood data. Why is the transition to adulthood data so important to the autism advocacy mission for equity and resources? Well, if school and the educational system is the primary method being used for societal preparedness, then we are failing our autistic children on an epic level based on the data we are finding in this area. The term most commonly used for this stage is called the cliff because services basically go non-existent post-high school. Please note local research data is limited, and this is data pulled from national level. It is my belief this data shows not only the lack of resources post-high school for the transition to adulthood, but the absolute failure to provide the adequate supports, life skill programs, and resources during the entirety of their K through 12 grade experience. The following data was pulled from the 2017 report to Congress about the transition to adulthood for autistic individuals. Okay, so this data talks about which examined young adults aged 20 to 25 who had been in special education and secondary indicate that less than 1 in 5, 19%, have ever lived independently away from their parents with supervision following high school, compared to more than 67% of those with serious mental illness or 34% with intellectual disabilities. Nearly two-thirds, 63.9%, received SSI benefits. Only 58% had ever worked during their early 20s compared with those with other types of special health care and special needs, including emotional disturbances, speech, and language impairment. Only 36% of youth with autism have ever participated in post-secondary education or training of any kind between high school and their early 20s. In addition, recent research have revealed disturbing trends in the early mortality of adults with autism. Identifying what factors drive these differences and improving services and supports to prevent co-occurring health and mental health conditions through the transition to adulthood and beyond is thus a critical need for youth with autism. This is an important component of what would be considered a territory public health prevention effort. Adults with ASD who receive support services have a high likelihood of subsequently gaining employment, thus improving the ROI for timely services. The goal of transition planning and services, that is, preparing for the transition for adolescence to adulthood, include promoting career exploration and development, extending education or training opportunities, supporting the independent life skills, and enhancing health and well-being. Federal law requires schools to provide special education and related services, including transition services for students with ASD who meet the eligibility required criteria under IDEA. However, the legal mandate for this provision ends following graduation from high school with a regular high school diploma, leaving many young adults with autism who either finish high school with a regular high school diploma or age out of IDEA requirements without the continuing services and support they may need. The 2015 National Autism Indicator reports transition to young adulthood. 16 examined 12 services that adolescents and young adults with autism commonly use, including speech, language, occupational, social work, case management, transportation, and personal assistance services. During high school, nearly all, 97%, received at least one of these 12 services. However, service usage dropped sharply following high school in their earlier 20s. 37% have defined as disconnected, that is, they neither worked outside the home nor continued education after high school. 28% of these young adults that were neither employed or attending post-secondary school or training were receiving no services or supports. The above-mentioned data are simply two talking points pulled to highlight the issues we are attempting to draw awareness to, with the hope that we can begin to make systemic change here in the school district of Philadelphia for all our children. Our kids deserve better, and when we do better by them, we will do better by all the adults who are trying to support them. We are tired and exhausted of having to fight daily to get the most basic resources for our children. We need others to join us. Please join in our mission to raise the issues into the collective awareness of this city so our children may finally get the resources and support they need for them to live their most optimal and happiest life. We would greatly appreciate you sharing the protest email and our flyers with anyone who might support this cause. Come to the protest and share this with others. Thank you in advance for your time and consideration. Please contact us via our Facebook group page or email us to find out more about our upcoming protests and how you can support the cause. We will also reach out in the future with any flyers or additional information that could be helpful. Sincerely, Philly Autism Educational and Program Advocacy Group. So yes, I'm going to put some markers there at the end or in between so that people can tell exactly what I'm talking about, what the statements are, where I'm talking about the money with K through 12, what I'm talking about when with the adolescent support, because I know there's a lot in there, but I just want to get a video of it so I can put it out there so anyone watching can see that we have thought about this. We are not just a group of people who think that the impossible can't happen. We know that this is something very possible. We've seen it in other states. Like we said, here in New Jersey, they have it provided literally right across the bridge. They have things provided in private schools outside of the district. So we're just here wanting to provide for our kids. So thank you for watching. If you have any comments, please leave some down. Please watch the other videos. And if you can, please go to the website and sign a petition. And I appreciate it.